I'm Dakini from California. Many people who know me, they know me mainly as a music engineer in the electronic music scene. Not many people know that I'm also a student of several esoteric traditions, including Tantra and yoga. In fact, at age 18, I met Osho, the great master, through his book, Tantra, the Supreme Understanding. The teaching in that book completely changed my life. Many years later, I met Azima, who is a true Osho sannyasi. He lived with Osho for 12 years, first in India, then in the US, and then in India again in the different communes. I read most of Azima's books. They're full of stories and teachings with him and Osho. And there's so much more that Azima knows. And so I was really excited to have conversations with him, to learn so much more about all the experience that he has. So Azima, welcome. So how did it all start? How did you meet Osho?
Okay. So namaste.
Namaste.
Namaste. Oh, how did I will say the reverse. The disciple never meets the master. It's the master that calls the disciple. And it was very, very clear for me that the master called me without me being conscious of the fact. Because in the 70s, I was a revolution. There was this wave started in the USA of young people that want to change the world. The woman finally woke up and they want to be free. The black people start to want their right, fight for their rights. So this big wave reached Europe in 68 in France and 69 in Italy. I was very young. I was 15, 16, but I was already on the street throwing stones and, and screaming for freedom and ask if I see now, I was asking who. I asked somebody which was not there, the power to give me freedom. But all these things I understood later. Anyway, I was a revolution and was on the Communist Party. In the meantime, I was studying medicine and surgery. And in 77, I finished my study and I was already a doctor working in the hospital. But I was very depressed. I had a very strong feeling that was useless to live this life. For me, was useless. There was no meaning. I could see how the society was repressing people, and for me was so strong that a single individual cannot be free in a capitalist society. And I was thinking that in a socialist society was better, but now I know that it's not better, it's even worse. So anyway, I was depressed, and there was a period of time when I'm open here with you, Dakini. I was thinking to commit suicide because many of my comrades, my friends, with who I was doing this revolution, they start to have a strong deviation towards drugs and heroin. Many friends die of heroin. And most of them, after a few years, 8, 9 years, they got married and made the kids, and they start to looking for a work and a house to live. So I was feeling very alone, and I felt was a failure. My life was a failure. And I was with a woman, a colleague, a doctor at that time. She also was in this mood of of depression. So at a certain point, we decided to change our life. So I really felt either I kill myself or I change completely my life. And it's a very, that's why the mystery of life starts, the magic of life starts. We took a coin, we flip the coin and we say, head, we go to South America, and cross, we go to India. And I saw this coin flipping in the air. I still remember it's such a such a joke in a way. This coin that was designed my life, and there, the energy of the master was already present because the coin came in my hand and was crossed, so we had to go to India. So we left everything. We left the hospital. She also was working already in the hospital, and we went with the train via land. We didn't took a flyer. There was no much money to take flyer at the time. So we went from Sicily all the way up to north of Italy, which is already 1,000 kilometers. And then from there, all the Middle East, first the communist country, Romania, Bulgaria, then Turkey, Iran, Pakistan, Afghanistan. Then we enter India. It took us 1.5 months. And on all this trip, which was already something that completely changed my mind, which was still a boy identified with the communist revolution. On this trip, I realized it was just everything was in my mind. The reality was completely different. When I saw Istanbul, full of people, millions of people in the street, uh, all different country, noise, smells, and the Muslims singing. Uh, I realized that I was close in a box, in a small box in Sicily and in Italy. So, yeah, usually that's what happens. We are close in a box in our life. You know, we can live in San Francisco, we can live in Germany or whatever in Bulgaria, but each of us lives his own reality, which is a small box.
Yes, in the West, we're so isolated, especially here in the United States. People are so, how do you say, isolated, very individualistic. So each person on their own, nobody on the street. The first thing in those countries, so many people on the streets. Right?
Because America shows in the movie and in the newspaper that they are all good friends, and you know. I remember when I was living in America, people were coming to me with the shoulder, "Hi man, how are you?" Like a very good friend, you know. And I was shocked because it's not. You don't do this in Italy or in Europe. You know, if you don't know somebody, you don't touch him, you don't talk.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So,
So
from Istanbul, then yeah, you were in Istanbul, and so that was your appetizer to this new world.
yeah, that was a good appetizer. Yes. Istanbul somehow opened my mind. Istanbul is a place where I would like to go after more than 40 years. They told me it's still crowded and still crazy. I have a few friends living there, and maybe one day I go to see these friends in Istanbul. And in this, after Istanbul, start a very tough time of traveling because we start to hijacking, taking bus in Iran with the chicken and pigs inside the bus and animals, human being, everything was inside the bus. one on top of the other one, and we were going through the desert, and the desert was like endless, never end. And I start to get weak and tired, and I start to wonder why I'm fucking doing this trip. Why I'm doing this trip? It's so tough. I was very strong. It was very hot. I tell you one thing, when we arrived in Pakistan, in Quetta, there were 50 degrees on the shadow. So it was impossible to breathe. And I was really wonder why we did this trip. But I didn't know at that time. I felt such a pull, like a magnet, like a strong magnet that pulls you. And like
Yeah.
you try to go in one way, and there was this big magnet that pulls you the other way. So I didn't know what was this magnet, this force. There was a very strong force pulled me towards India. I knew when I met Osho, which I didn't know. I didn't know anything. I told you before, I was a revolution. I was thinking about
So how did it go? You just met him, or how was your meeting with Osho? You just happened to meet him, or?
Yeah, that's a good question. Because, it's already 40, 44, 45 years ago. Many things have disappeared in my mind. There was a feminist, a friend of mine in Palermo, which left and went to India like 8 months before me, 8 months before me. And she sent me in Palermo one postcard, just a little postcard that say, I am happy. I never been so happy. Here, everything is orange. Even the soap to wash your body, it's orange. So I thought, oh, good. She find a small community where they do acid, LSD. And I kept this postcard with me. I said, well, let's join where we are in India, and that's why we went to Bombay. The idea is still 50 degrees on the shadow. So me and my ex-girlfriend.
50 degrees Celsius, because some people may think Fahrenheit, it's Celsius.
Yes, no, it's Celsius, not Fahrenheit. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we decided to go to the Maldives island to live there naked and free and fuck the world. That was the idea. Fuck the world. So we go to the harbor and we ask for a boat to Maldives island. And I don't know if you've been in India ever, but Indians are very funny people. They always go like this, which means yes, but they don't mean it. Yeah, they don't know. If you ask where is the train station, they say yes. So for everything is yes. In India it's so smooth, so easy. So anyway, the guy with the head like this say, finally he talked and said, no boat. Boat left yesterday. Next boat in 1 month. So we didn't want to stay in Bombay for 1 month with this heat. We realized that this friend was living in a hill, 600 meters higher. So we thought, well, that's going to be more fresh and refreshing to go there. So that's why we went to Pune, to be
I see.
in a refreshed place with my old friends, which was doing LSD or something. and stay there for 3 weeks and then come back in Bombay and go to Maldives Island, which never happened. And I never went to Maldives Island in my life.
Wow.
Because then I realized Osho, when I saw him, I realized that that's the magnet was pulling me.
Yeah. That's so cool. That's so cool. So till the very last moment, you didn't really know where you were going. You were just going, and that happened.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so how did it happen? You met Osho. I mean, was it just through a meeting? How did it go? So once you were in the commune, did you, how did that happen?
Yeah.
You remember the day that you met Osho, or you forgot about it?
No, this I will never forget. And,
I figured that.
not in this life and not in the other life.
Can you tell us how it was? Like, was he like, I mean, how tall was he? Was he really?
No, he was not tall. Osho was a short man. Was
Yeah, so I mean,
I think it was
the day
about,
that you met him, do you have any memories particular about that day?
yeah. I I have two strong memory when I arrived in Pune. There was the beginning of 1978. It was March, April 78, which is the hot season.
Yeah.
We arrived in the night with Donatella, this girlfriend of mine. It was dark, and we took a rickshaw, which are this a small taxi open. I don't know how you call it in English. We call it rickshaw in India. And now they have also in Paris and also in Italy. There are three wheels, and two people can sit. And this rickshaw driver drive like crazy.
I see.
You know, it's not bicycle, it's with the motor, with the engine. So he took it to 17 Corecon Park. That was the address, and it still is 17 Corecon Park. We arrived in the entrance of the park, and there was a Western guy. He must have been German because he was very tough. Very, very tall guy with a long beard, strong, and in the middle of the street, stopped the rickshaw and said, "You cannot come here." I didn't talk much English because I studied French in my classical school. In the high school, I studied French. So I didn't know English. I learned English by staying in India with reading Osho's book in English. So the guy said, yeah, there was no way to talk to him. So we had to turn back and look for an hotel. And he said, you can come from 6 o'clock in the morning. Tomorrow you can come in the ashram. So why 6 o'clock? We are sleeping at 6 o'clock. So we find this hotel, and the day after, I think it was around 9:30, 10 o'clock, we decided to go in the ashram. This time there was no guards, the street was free. And we arrived at this huge gate of the ashram. It's a wooden, it was, now they changed. It was a huge wooden gate, maybe 3.5 meter tall, high, open, and with many people, like thousands of people, all dressed in orange. They were coming out because Osho discourse was just finished. So they were coming out, hugging each other and happy. I never saw so many people so happy. And I assure you, I was shocked. I was to see all these people happy, beautiful woman, beautiful man, all the men with long beard. It was like a dream. I entered in a state of hallucination, a kind of hallucination.
That's so cool.
Yeah, because it's another reality. To be with the master alive, it was another reality. It was like, this is our normal reality, and you are in another reality.
Completely different, yes. Like a new world. So why, I just always thought about it. Why the orange color? I mean, why did they all dressed in orange? Is there a particular reason or?
Yeah, sure. There is a reason. I mean, in India, all the tradition, let's say, since thousands of years, if you are a sannyasi, it means a swami, a man who is looking for a spiritual path. Like we call in the West monk or nun.
Okay.
Okay, they call swami, and all the swami, they dress orange because orange is the symbol for a new dawn, a new start, another life. You start the spiritual life. So the sun in the morning when comes, it's orange, strong orange. So all the people, the Swami, they dress orange, and Osho kept this tradition of wearing orange clothes, but he called this new sannyasi generation. As a matter of fact, he created a new way, a new path for spirituality, completely new. He opened, let's say, he was a one man work that opened in the forest a new path, in the forest of the collective mind.
Right.
He opened a new path, the path of the spiritual man, which does not refuse the society, stays on the society, stays on materiality, stays on the sex energy, leaves his energy of material things, but in the same time leaves the energy of meditation and spirituality, and go inside. Um, because inside is like being with the master. Inside the reality is again like this.
Right. Yeah, that's true. That's very true.
So
So this was the first commune. So this was the Pune commune, and that was from 19. So you were there from 1978, and then until
yeah,
when?
the first commune was in 1974. It started in 1974. So I arrived 4 years after it started the first commune, because before it was in Bombay, and it was in an apartment where he started to give initiation and give sannyas. Initiation means he give a mala, necklace with this picture, with a locket with this picture, and give a new name. And he asks you to wear orange. And another thing he asks is to meditate at least 1 hour a day. So that was the beginning. So 1 hour a day meditation, wearing orange robe, the mala, and a new name. Okay. And nowadays, Zoli Zoli, with the second commune in America, uh, he say you don't need to wear the mala anymore, and you can wear other colors. And then in the third commune, he let us free completely to do what each individual feels to do. So
Right.
no rules, let's say. But in the beginning, there were these 3, 4 rules.
So yeah, so in 12 years, you've been going through free communes, first in India, then in the United States, the famous United States in Oregon, Rajpuram, right? I
Yeah,
cannot really pronounce it well. And then back to India. So what were the main differences among these communes? I mean, I guess it was part of a path that Osho had, right?
yeah. But because my mind function still is still functioning, even if I meditate, still functioning. I don't want to leave the thread in there. We were talking about how I met Osho. So I want to ask you.
Yes, we're going all over the place because I'm so interested in everything you say. I want to know everything.
Okay, so I come back.
Let's go in order. Yes.
Okay, so I come back to that point. Okay, so
Okay. Yes.
I arrive and I see these people coming out, and I want to go inside the ashram to see what is this paradise, you know. And again, another German guy stopped me and said, "You cannot come in." Allora, you have to imagine that I was with no hair because I cut all my hair because it was too hot. And I was dressed all black in a Pakistani way, very large pants, you know, very large pants, but then you strip on the waist, and a long shirt black. So I was all black with no hair, with a little glasses of revolutionary state. was was my trademark for being a revolutionary. Very small, old glasses from 1920. And everybody was orange around. So I was really like the black swan. So you stop and say you cannot come in, you stay outside at the gate. And okay, I surrender. At that point, my mind was already fact, was still. And from after some time, like 10 minutes, I see from far away inside the ashram, it's a very old lady with the white hair running towards the main gate, the entrance. And she was so beautiful. She was old, but at that time, maybe she was 70, 75 or something. But she was running so happy with these orange clothes. And I wonder, I say, where she's going so happy? She came into the main gate and she was coming to me and she hugged me.
Oh, it's so
And
sweet.
then, yeah, I still feel. She hugged me, and name was Bhakti. She's dead. And
That's so cool.
yeah, she hugged me and she said, "Finally, you arrived. We were waiting for you." And I almost cry now. So imagine at that time, I start crying and crying. And she took me inside the ashram. She was my angel. She took me. She told the guard, "He's with me," and that was. And the day after, they dressed me with an orange robe from my girlfriend. So it was a woman robe because I didn't have time to buy a robe. So they put me in this long robe, and the morning after, they took me to see Osho. Osho was talking in this space called Buddha Hall, and people were coming inside one by one, and there were people sniffing your body because he was allergic. Somehow he was very sensible and fragile. He couldn't smell strong perfumes. So there were maybe 2,000, 2,500 people sitting on the floor, and I was on the very end. And at a certain point, I hear a car coming, and the car stopped on the porch, and he came in. And when I saw, I was far away, so I saw a very small man physically. He was he was maybe, I don't know exactly, maybe 1 meter 67 centimeter something. Not so tall. He was a very, his body was a classic Indian body, which in Ayurveda we call kapha. Kapha in Ayurveda medicine, in Indian medicine, which I studied when I was there. There are three kinds of personality in the body. Pitta, which is more fiery, like I am a Pitta, skinny and long. Kapha, which is tough, strong body, heart very much connect with the heart. And Vata it's air. People like, I think you are a little bit Vata.
Me, but
That's good.
lots.
And so Osho was a Kapha type. Was very, very rooted in the hair, very much. And you can see his body. When I met him, he had a black beard and black hair still, and his arms were big arms, very strong. It was very
I
strong.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
And So I saw this small man, but I didn't. I don't know how to say. Yeah, yes, I saw the body, but what was very what I saw was a big light, white like the full moon. You know, it's not. It's a creamy. It's not really
Cream
white.
color.
Creamy, milky white.
So that
All
was
around him, an aura, big aura was
huge.
like if was this the aura was, I don't know if we can say meter, maybe was 15, 20 meter of aura around him, of this milky energy around him. And it was the first time for me that I saw aura. Was the first time of everything because I was completely virgin. Uh, and there was the meeting, and immediately, the same moment I saw this huge aura, I start crying, and I cry all the time. We talk for 2 hours. I cry for 2 hours,
Wow.
and I felt back in the womb of my mother. So that's and in words it's difficult to express, but I felt
No, it makes sense. I can totally envision it. So cool.
yeah. And
Oh,
I physically went in the fetal position.
yeah,
And
it was like you were, I say, rebirth, like a new birth.
yeah,
You were coming out again.
yes, it was a rebirth
So
exactly.
you're born twice.
Yeah, that's a Swami, that's a sannyasi, what means born twice.
Yeah,
Yeah, born
yeah,
twice. Yeah, that's the second birth and the spiritual birth. And
exactly.
what is important now in this moment in 2021 is even humanity has this transformation of the born again on the spiritual level, or really we are fucked. There's no there's, there's not much of
Yeah, that's a big subject. So
yeah,
how do you see humanity? I mean, you see it, it's
hmm.
kind of a generic and tough question, but just like lightly.
Maybe we can do another podcast about this.
Yeah, because it would be cool to know more about it,
Yeah,
because I know you have a lot of ideas on what's happening in this world and a lot of
yeah.
suggestions.
Also, I write in book. You read most of my book, but the latest book is this one, and
Yes.
it's called Artificial Intelligence and Pandemic. The subtitle is Survival Manual, a book to survive, because as I see now, we are really on the edge of destroying the human race.
Yeah, we are really at the edge
Mm.
with the pandemics and everything that's happening in the world.
It's not only the pandemic, but we can do next podcast. We can do about this topic. Um,
Okay.
yeah, okay.
So is
So
there more things you would like to tell us, or on the subject of?
well, if we talk at this beginning, it was very amazing because the first commune of Osho was really to free, to open the energy and to let people free to express their energy, which
Yeah,
at that time in the 1670 was mostly sexual energy, because the feminists, the women, they start to liberate themselves and they start to express, they can finally express the sexual energy free. Uh, so I had to uh, remind friends that listen now that in the ashram, Osho gave the position of leading groups or department or office, anything, was led by women. There was not
by women. Yeah,
by women. All the women were in charge. There was no man in charge, either cleaning department or kitchen or a bookstore or boutique or everything was in the hand of women. Osho give always all the power to the woman, and that was very, very new at the time. So this female energy, I can see Puna one was like the female energy, which is a kind of crazy but very, very creative, very juicy, very lovely, very sexual. That was at its most, was at expressing at most in Puna one.
Yeah, I can imagine. So it was definitely a great experiment to put women in charge. And then, well, you'll tell us about it in the next episodes, that it shows that women, they were not that good at the end. Like you thought the women are so good at leading, but then, you know, they're still human beings. So you'll tell us about what happened.
Yeah, they fucked that up like a man.
Yeah. I think I hear a lot, oh, women are so much better. Matriarchal societies are so much better, of course. In a way they are.
It's true. It's true. Woman
It's
is much
true,
more.
but then there's problems too.
But you see, um, woman mind and man mind are different mind. Okay.
Yeah.
So the mind of a man is identify with his thoughts. The mind of woman is more identified with the emotion, which is the second chakra. Okay?
That's true.
So it's more connected with the roots of existence. Women are more real. Men is it's a kind of puppet, a real puppet. If I see men in the street in Italy, in Germany, everywhere, to me they look like a puppet. The mask, they have a mask, and you don't know who they are. They play a role, and they are so full of themselves. And woman is more natural, it's more sincere, more, it's a beauty.
Yeah.
But the mind is the mind. It's a different identification, but still it's mind. So it's the same structure, means ego, identification with the body, identification with emotion, greed, violence, all these are the same. So what happened in Osho commune, the first commune was kind of fucked up by two different women fighting. In America, you saw Wild Wild Country,
Yeah.
the TV, which has a great success, by the way. And Sheila, in a way, fucked up the American commune, which was a great experiment. But in another podcast, we talk about Rajneesh Puram.
Yeah.
And then finally, on the third commune, he chose women which were more in the heart, and that was very good. The last commune was, for me, was the best. Was a very lovely, very was a whole heart. We were so in love with each other because we saw our master how much he suffered. He was poisoned in America. He was 8 months in the airplane, and they tried to kill him anyway and to destroy his message. And we were so touched that he still went on until the end.
Until
That
the end.
he was still give love to everybody. And it was amazing. So the people in the last commune, we were really protecting. He became very fragile. He was shaking. He got sick many times. But maybe we do another podcast about.
Yeah, there's so much to say.
Yeah. So let's stick to the first commune. The first commune then was really this creativity, amazing creativity. And people start to come from all Europe, mostly America, the most sannyasi.
So that was my question. We're mostly Westerners or mostly Indians or half and half, and how the commune was received in India? Because India, especially back in those days, was still probably very Hindu, very traditional in the religion. So was it okay to have a place like that? I mean, was kind of accepted, or it was very controversial at first?
Right. So until 73, Osho was talking to Indians mostly. He was giving conference. He was going with the train all over India. India is a big continent. Uh, all the time in the train and give conference. And there were 50,000, 60,000, 70,000 people attending to his conference. There were 99% Indians. The first Western arrived from America, from England, in the 70, 71, 72, when Osho was in Bombay. And when he came to Pune in 74, all the Indians somehow disappear. It's not that they disappear. The Indians have a different approach to the spiritual master. For an Indian, to see the master, to touch his feet, and he give the blessing, that's all. That's all they need. They don't need anymore. So they go back home and they are happy. They are blessed by the huge Buddha, and they meditate on their own space. And most of the Indians, they never come back to see Osho. But in 74, when he created the first commune, there were mostly Americans, from England and from Italy and from Germany. These were the four countries mostly. The rest of the country were very few people, very few French, very few Spanish, Swedish, very few. You can count them. But the majority was this four countries. And this four country, most of us Italian were like me, coming from a political background. Also Americans, many American friends in Pune One, they were coming out of Vietnam War. So there were people also politically involved, many therapists, many American therapists came from SLM, which was a great therapeutic place.
Still is. We still have it. I forgot. It's here in California. Yeah.
Okay, Highway 1, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I went with the Volkswagen bus all the way the Highway 1.
Oh, that's so cool. That's so nice.
So there was mostly the people who were in Pune 1. And they were all PhD people, like 80%. We were doctor, mathematician, physicist, psychologist, professor. They were all very intelligent people. And we put this intelligence at the feet of the master, and he used us to spread his message. We were like, his the birds going around, because many people were going back to Europe or to America or their country, stay 1, 2 months, 3 months, and then come back to their country. It was not the case for Azima. Azima stayed with Osho. And, I left him only for a short time because I had a court case in Italy.
Yeah.
From my old day of being politician. And
They found you back.
the family, yes, my father, I think was 79, end of 79, like 80, something like this. I got a telegram from my father, said the police is looking for you. So you had to come and be in the court. There will be a court case. Otherwise, they will look for you, the Interpol, the International Police.
Oh no.
So
Back in those days, it was just common.
Yeah.
with all the political turmoil in Italy. Not many people know about the political turmoil in the 70s in Italy. It was pretty intense.
Yeah, it was
So,
very nice. Yeah. And then so of course I don't want to go. Who gives a shit about the court case? But I wrote to Osho. He's my master, so I wrote to Osho. I told the story, and he say, "Come to see me in the night in his house." He was
oh, wow.
in the evening. In the morning, he was talking, and in the evening, he was giving sannyas, and he was giving what we call energy dash. He was touching the third eye and give energy to people who need it or people that he chose. So he told me come, and he gave me an energy darshan, and then he looked at me. Of course, parenthesis. Once he give you the energy darshan, it's like you're in opium or you're like.
Yeah, because there's a lot of photos. I mean, we all see the photos of the sannyasi. They're all like, the same. And I mean, all the photos that we see from the old days, there's so many. And this seems, so you experienced that so many times. It must have been really crazy.
I had 7 energy darshan in Osho, 7.
Wow.
That's was not common to have so many. That was the second energy darshan. So after the energy darshan, I was completely spaced out, and he looked at me with these big eyes, and he said, "Azima, you can go. You have my blessing." And he gave me, you give me a little box, uh, wooden box with his fingernail, when he was
Oh,
cut
wow.
fingernail inside. I still have it with me.
That's so interesting.
Yeah, yeah. And he said, "You can go. You have my blessing." So he tells me, "You can go." I go. If they put me in jail, that's my that's my meditation, to be in jail. What to do? If the master say you can go, I go. Wherever
Right.
wherever he tells me to go, I go. I don't
Of course.
discuss. Surrender with the master. That's one thing that now people don't understand. This new generation. Um, I am. I understand because the you guy never met a Buddha, um, but when the Buddha is in the body, you just surrender to him. Either surrender or you escape after 1 year or 10 years or 20 years. The relationship with the master is just pure love, pure surrender. You had to die, and that's
So
where
did you surrender at first, or I mean, how long did it take you to really surrender?
1 second.
Once.
When I saw this big light, for me it was clear that
You
was
just, I'm done.
done. That's the master. The master. It's like a light, and you just follow this light. You don't think
So
with you.
you were surrendered, but you said that in the past that you're a medical doctor, and you wanted to work as a medical doctor in the commune, but Osho kind of put you in the kitchen. So
Yeah.
that was not because you didn't surrender. That was not like a punishment.
No, it was not a punishment. It was like an intellectual guy coming from a political background, a doctor that the whole work Osho did with me is to strip my mask, to strip away my mask, and to to become natural and simple. You see me now, but when I was a doctor, I was like, even if I was a political involved, but I was quite serious. I was
I see.
already a man who was talking on the assembly in the 70s, explaining how to do the revolution. I never had trouble to talk to 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 people in the assembly in the 70s. And I was one of the head people, theoretician, that we were creating the theory to do the revolution. So Osho saw all this, And what we did is cool down, become
So,
simple.
back in the kitchen.
Back in the kitchen. Actually, the first work, they put me in a small toilet, small, like 1.5 meter by 2 meter. You know, in India, the toilet, there is no seat. It's just a hole on the floor.
Like
So
those old ones in Italy. That we call it la turca. The old,
yeah,
the old ones. Yeah,
yeah.
back in the day.
So for I think 2 weeks, 3 weeks, I was cleaning this fucking toilet the whole day. Then,
So there was never a time where you thought, "What am I doing here? I should go back
of
home."
course, every moment, every moment, every day, I was studying I was a camera and I was doing a revolution. What I do in these toilets, and slowly, the ego start to open up, and collapse. Then they put me in the kitchen, and I stay all the time in the kitchen.
You've been in the kitchen for a while, right? Like,
Yeah, for until the end of the first commune, I was in the kitchen. That means 2 years or something like this.
wow.
Yeah.
So you must be a good cook. What type of foods were you cooking? I mean,
And
was it mainly Indian food or?
was Indian food. We were vegetarian. The whole commune always Osho commune vegetarian. So I was cooking vegetable mostly,
That's so cool.
rice, vegetable, and then there were some Indian cook. They were doing Indian dishes um, for Indians with a lot of spicy. But for Western was a very simple food.
That's no way to do it.
And mostly we were all sick because
Yeah, how did that work? Because being in India, especially for Westerners, the food, it must be difficult. I mean, the water and the food. So,
amoeba was our main friend.
yeah, I can just imagine.
I
So
got amoeba several times, and infections, and
you survived.
so also we had a free sex, so we got a lot of venereal disease. Uh, so, but we were so happy. Who cares about being sick? And
Yeah,
no, it was really like this. I mean, see, yeah, okay. It's difficult life in India at that time. There was nothing. India was very poor, so we were eating rice and vegetable. That's all. And then
I see.
sometime we were escaping from the ashram in the evening, going to some Indian restaurant to eat some omelette, something.
So,
And so most of us were sick with the intestinal problems.
I can just imagine. But the food was all, I mean, you were growing your own food, right? I mean, you also had a
Not,
farm in the,
not in Purawan, not in Purawan.
oh, I see.
Purawan was a kind of small place. It was a big villa in this park. Uh, Maybe 1.5 hectare. I don't know in acre. Anyway, it was not big. It was a big house with a big garden and another villa. So we were packed. We were building how wooden little house on top of the roof. We were building space for sleeping everywhere. But it was very wild.
Wow. So very, very different
Yeah, very different.
from what you were used to.
Yeah. But we were so happy because it was, we were going to the river near the ashram. There was a big, huge river, big river with birds, and it was so beautiful. And people, sannyasi, many they build bamboo huts, and they were sleeping in the bamboo huts and near the river. We were very wild. Purawan was very wild.
Very wild.
Yeah, we were naked most of the time. You just hug a woman or you hug a man. If you feel the energy, you go and make love. So by the night, you maybe made love with 2, 3 different people. It was a very wild place.
So, you know, there's a lot of bad press, a lot of bad articles about this. So some of it, it's true, or,
Yeah,
you
it's
know.
true. It's true that we were wild, and it just I think people in the West were jealous of us. That's all. They were jealous that we can have sex spontaneous. It was not, you know, the sex that there is now in the society. It was like an innocent sex because there was no compression, there was no repression. So
Right.
we had a rope and naked underneath. We never use sleep woman or man. So it was very natural. We were like kids, like kids. We were after 1 or 2 months you were there, you become like a kid, very innocent and happy. And, you know,
That's so cool.
yeah. So I hope.
Well, thank you so much. So yeah, so we're gonna talk again soon, and
Yeah.
we're gonna talk about many more things.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, this is also exciting and so interesting.
You can question me and ask questions until I am in the body.
Yeah, yeah, we need to have you say everything. Everything. Yeah, we need to squeeze you like an orange.
Okay.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Azima. We'll talk soon. Namaste. Thank you. Thank you.